Welcome to the Yamaha Raider 1900. This is a fantastic beast. Let's go over some basic stats that mean nothing to us. It's a 1900cc engine, that's 113 cubic inch, 48 degree 4-stroke air-cooled V-twin engine. Air-cooled does mean something to us. It means it's gonna cool down nicely on the highway when you're at speed. If you're in traffic sitting idling, it's going to get hot a bit quick, but it doesn't seem to have a problem. I've been stuck in traffic with this bike quite a lot. Its compression ratio is 951. Its power is 95 horsepower. That's 71 kilowatts at 4,400 RPM to the rear wheel. Its torque is 123 foot-pounds. That's 167 Newton meters at 2,200 RPM. So that's really early on. That's really at a low RPM. So what that means is it's going to jump out of the gate. You're going to be able to spin that wheel in first gear, spin it in second gear, and if you really wanted to, probably in third. But it's very easy to do it in first and second. It's kind of difficult to avoid it at first. You gotta practice a lot on this bike. The transmission is 5-speed gearbox to belt drive. Belt drive means possibly a lot less maintenance, hardly any maintenance. 5-speed, you'd be thinking, oh, the Harley gearboxes, oh, I want 6-speed. You don't need it. You don't need it with this bike because it's a 4-stroke engine. 4-stroke engine, that's nuts. That's usually kept for sport bikes or race bikes, but here it is on a big cruiser. The frame is aluminium double cradle, so it's quite light for its size. It's 340 kilograms weight, so that's not light, but it's massive, it's long. The frame is also quite low, so if there's a lot of potholes or speed bumps, you got to practice, be careful, you might just touch the bottom of the frame. The telescopic upside down forks look pretty cool. They're real heavy and nice and sturdy on the highway, which would make me talk about the monoshock on the back, which is really amazing too. I'm thinking if it had shocks on both sides, when you hit a bump at really high speed, it might start to wobble. This thing can get to a really high speed. It can get top speed 240 kilometers, 135 miles. I've gotten to 200, 210 without a windscreen, so I can tell you that those numbers are true. If I had a windshield, I would have been able to go a lot faster. It wasn't struggling at 210 either. It's real comfortable there. Double disc front brakes, you need that. Single on the rear. The wheelbase 1,715 millimeters, 67 inches. The 102 millimeter trail is certainly something to talk about. That refers to the distance between where the wheel touches the ground, front wheel, and where the axis underneath your steering, underneath your handlebars is. So it's a raked bike. It's 39 degrees raked. I believe that's something like, that's 6 degrees at the yoke and 33 on the forks. So usually you'd lose a lot of handling with a chopper. This is technically a chopper as well, but you don't lose a lot of handling. This thing handles really well. The weight, 340 kilos. You don't feel it. You don't feel it at all. You just got to be careful in the parking lots and on steep grounds and slow speeds. Just be real careful. It's low enough for you to not drop it. A little bit more about the engine again. It's built to deliver max torque at 2,500 RPM in the 55 to 75, 90 to 100 kilometer range, 55, 75 mile per hour range. So that's great for cruising. The 4-stroke power valve system that we were talking about earlier, again, incredible. It's usually for high performance sport bikes. The unusual features that this Hemi engine, as some call it, is a pent roof combustion chamber. So the arrangement of this Penta engine, this arrangement of upper portion of cylinder valves, has the advantage to burn fuel and air mix faster. The pent roof combustion chamber system is popular with manufacturers that use the 4-valve per cylinder engines to produce relatively high horsepower for displacement for both racing cars and racing type engines. A little bit more about the experience I've had with the bike. Let's talk about that. It's wonderful, it's comfortable, it's fast, it's freakishly exciting. You're never going to get off this bike and not be thrilled. As I say, it's fast, it's a muscle bike, it's unruly, it's outrageous, but at the same time very reliable, low maintenance. The maintenance that you may have to do, like simple oil changes and air filter, is quite easy. It's dropped, it's low, so you may have to customize some tools, like I had to cut a wrench in half to fit it under because I don't have a bike jack. The air filter is hidden underneath the gas tank, and because the gas tank is so beautiful with a beautiful paint, it's quite intimidating to take the gas tank off, but just lay down some blankets, some duvet covers, whatever you must, switch off that fuel valve, take that tank off, and you'll see a beautiful corset-like arrangement of wires and cables, electric cables, and you just unplug those and you'll have access to the air filter. You can take that out, swap it out, clean it. Of course, it's not as easy as the Harley Davidson. The air filter is just on the side there. Take out 2-3 screws and there you are. But with great power comes great responsibility, young Carlisle. So you've got to brave it. You've got to do a little bit. Then the styling. Oh man, it's got these sharp accents, these sharp chrome angular designs. It's fantastic. The lines of the bike are wonderful. The paint is incredible, especially if you get the ruby red, cherry red, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't call it ghost flames. It's like sort of like a smoke flames. There's an underneath red, bright red, that almost glows in the sun, and that's covered by more maroony type darker reds. There's some silver, black, and smoky colors going in there with a beautiful angular, hard, gray, silverish, triangular outline. It's incredible. Now, if you look real closely and you zoom in, you might see some micro dots on that design. So it would suggest that it's been printed, and that's how you know if it's stock standard paint, which this particular bike I'm riding does have. Now, I'm going to have a problem letting go of this bike. I'm absolutely in love with it. And as I said, I'm not going to find one very easily with stock standard paint. These bikes are diminishing in supply, if you could say that, in existence. They didn't make them after about 10 years. It stopped production in about 2017, I think, 2018. So it had 10 years of thrashing good time. In the beginning, I think people were maybe a little bit skeptic. They didn't give it